All right. I'm Josh. He's Joe. And somehow, some way, we're going to talk about that Cleveland Browns game today. I feel like it's going to be like week one against Baltimore, where we just after this, we throw it out. Don't talk about it ever again. But yeah, the Browns, they lost 38-7 today in Pittsburgh. Much like they have, I think they said during the TV broadcast that the Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh since 2003.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah, I remember that Thursday night football game. Yeah, that was a long time ago, and yeah, today was definitely a reality check for us Browns fans and for the Browns that they're just not up to the par of the top teams, which we should have known coming in. I think we got overexcited, but yeah, it definitely showed that we're not up to par yet to the defense to Pittsburgh, and yeah, we're still 4-2, so it's not like previous years where we would get trounced and we're 0-6 or something like that. So it's not the end of the world. It's just a reality check, and time to keep building. Hopefully they can get healthier, because that was crushing. The injuries definitely caught up to him today. Baker he had his worst game of the season. He was pretty terrible. And the offensive line just got dominated. I wrote all week this week that it would be the battle of the trenches, that whoever wins down there would win this game, and it was decided by the trenches, and the Browns were just completely dominated, especially on offense. The Pittsburgh defensive line they were in the backfield almost every play. So yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, I feel like it would be hard to talk about anything that the Browns did right today, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to be super negative, but
yeah,
I mean, it's hard. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can single out a couple of players, but it's hard to say, hey, this guy had a good game today.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody that really stood out. The defense, they played as hard as they could. I noted in the fourth quarter, Sheldon Richardson was hustling downfield still they were down, I think 31, and he was still battling downfield, so that was good to see. But yeah, no really standouts by anybody. Even the Browns defense line, who I thought would have a good game, they weren't consistently getting to the quarterback. So yeah, not many bright spots today.
I mean, we can be like the Browns fans of the past and say, hey, the punter had a good game.
That's true. Yeah, he came in injured too, and he did have a good game. But yeah, not great when the punter is the best player.
Yeah, exactly. When the punter is the MVP of the game, you just got blown out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a gut feeling. I know I told you this before the podcast. I had a gut feeling that the Browns were going to lose today just because of the injuries, and they struggle. For some reason, they struggle in Pittsburgh, even with barely any crowd. They struggle. I don't know if it's just in their head now, or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they struggle in Pittsburgh big time.
Yeah, it was pretty much a carbon copy of week one. They really made big mistakes early on, and it kind of just snowballed. Nothing went right for them, and they just couldn't catch up. And the game plan kind of went out the window quickly. After I think coach saw that the offensive line wasn't going to be able to pass protect, and it kind of just threw everything out of loop, and it went downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, the Baker pick six clearly changed everything. I mean, you went down 10, two offensive plays into the game, so you're already down 10, and you literally only ran two offensive plays. Like you said, that basically scrapped the game plan. You had to figure something else out. But speaking of offensive line, is Wyatt Teller that big of a difference? or did they just get dominated overall?
No, yeah, they got dominated overall. The Pittsburgh is the best defensive line. It's not even close. After watching today, they're the best I've seen this year. But yeah, the Browns throughout the whole line. J.C. Treader had a bad game. Wills had a bad game. Conklin didn't play well. Antonio had an offsides, and it was not pretty. And then Hubbard, we already knew he was going to be the weak spot, and he showed it today. And it just wasn't, the line just wasn't good, and not good enough to win a game.
Yep. Yeah, I don't want to be super negative, but man, today it was definitely a dose of reality a little bit.
Yeah. It was the biggest test of the year since week 1, and they showed that they weren't ready for it. They weren't up to par, as I said earlier, to these teams, which is, it's fine. It sucks that, because we talked about how exciting it was the past 4 weeks, but it just showed us that we need to slow it down, let this team build, let the team get healthy, because I think the injuries finally caught up to them. Just take our medicine and keep working until next week. We're on to Cincinnati again, so hopefully they were like the medicine last week, or after week 1, where we could turn the offense around and get going. But yeah, this is not fun. It's like week 1 all over again.
Shout out to the schedule makers for giving us Cincinnati after Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Seriously.
I know,
it's like, hey, that's a reality check, but then you get the Bengals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So now you're like down, you're way down, and then you play the Bengals, and you're like, oh, we're Super Bowl again.
Right. Yeah, I think this time we'll be a little bit more tempered on our after, if we win, which I hope we do. I think we'll be more tempered, but yeah, not great. But we live for another week and try to keep getting better. And man, I hope we get some health going. This team is just it showed, as I said, that they look worn down. The offensive line they just got beaten over the head consistently, and then not having Chubb is just people were talking about that. This is just some people, not everybody, but some. Where this is an offense where it doesn't matter who the runner is. We saw today that Chubb is a huge part of this, and we need him back as quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean, when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL, I feel like he has to be a huge part. Unless your offensive line and quarterback are just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like if you have Patrick Mahomes in the backfield, then it really doesn't matter which running back you have. But Nick Chubb is just a game changer.
Right. Yeah, and this is a turning point in Baker. There's going to be a lot of questions coming out of this. Was the injury affected him this much, or is he just not ready yet to be a winning quarterback for this team? But he was bad. He didn't really help the team in any certain way. He had a few good passes, but overall his performance was just not good enough. And I'm hoping that it was the injury that caused him to have this poor of a game. But we're seeing the same tendencies that have affected him over his career that are a little bit they're not good. Like the panicking in the pocket, even though when there's no rush coming at him. Yeah, he looked gun shy today, and I'm hoping that was just because his injury was more serious than he was leading on, and he just didn't have it today. But we'll see. He has to answer these questions and keep getting better with this offense, and hopefully we see it next week versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I feel like every time the offensive line plays bad, because they were pretty bad last year, all those old tendencies come back. It's like
Yeah.
Like when he doesn't trust the offensive line, all of his old habits come back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You saw that. We saw that today. I was noting earlier in the game, there's one, he evaded our early pressure and there was no one around him, but he still had happy feet. He was looking around, and then he threw the interception on the right sideline, just throwing it up for no apparent reason. Yeah, it seems like when he gets early pressure, it kind of messes his whole game up, and rushes his processing, which is something he needs to fix, and he needs to fix quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's year 3. I know he's had 4 different offensive coordinators, 4 different head coaches, but it's year 3. That is a pivotal year for a rookie quarterback. So, like you said, he has to figure it out, and he has to figure it out very quickly.
Yeah. Luckily, we're not going to see Pittsburgh till the last week of the season, so he's got time. He's got some teams coming up in Cincinnati and other poor teams like Eagles and I think both New York teams. So there's opportunities where he can grow and get some confidence going. But yeah, when the good teams come calling, he needs to step up and be better than what he did today. And today was just not good enough.
Yeah, I just looked at the schedule. 38-6 to the Ravens, 38-7 to the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's almost like like I said, I don't want to be super negative, but it's almost like the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers are like the varsity team and the Browns are like the JV team. And like they have like an inter-squad scrimmage in practice, and this is what happens.
Yeah. It showed that they're just on another level, which we should have expected because they've been good for how many years now, and this is the first year under Kevin Stefanski that we're playing with the new Browns. So still developing, still a young team, but yeah, there's room to grow. But the biggest thing that I take away from this game was the offensive line. It was shocking to me because after what we watched in the first 5 weeks, I did not see this happening. That they were just totally outclassed. It looked like they were Browns' offensive lines had passed where they were just getting beat up each week. And yeah, I did not see the Pittsburgh having this big of an advantage on that side of the ball, and they really dominated them from first quarter to the end of the game. It was not pretty. I'm expecting Pro Football Focus to have some poor grades out for that offensive line. I don't see much on the offense having any good grades today.
Yeah, I think a lot of Browns fans used to look forward to seeing what the grades were.
Yeah.
Now they're like, no.
Yeah. We know what's coming. Yeah, it was one of those things that was really shocking to me. Pittsburgh seemed like they knew the snap count every time. You would think they were offsides, but they weren't. They were just reading the snap count, which is something that play calling should have noticed and something that Baker should have noticed. And they just never could slow them down, and they just had a running start each time, and it was bad. That was it was a bad game for the offensive line and something they have to improve on, and hopefully they can get healthy with Wyatt Teller coming back. But yeah, this is not a good showing by the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, when the offensive line struggles, it's one thing, but then when you add on when the Steelers like kind of know what the snap count is too,
yeah,
that just puts the offensive line behind the 8 ball to begin with as it is.
Yeah, it was brutal to watch. Yeah.
But I saw when Rashard Higgins had that touchdown, the wide open touchdown that literally any of us could have caught. I mean, I'm not athletic anymore, but I could have caught that he was open by 10 yards. I saw some people say that Rashard Higgins should be the number 3 wide receiver now. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. He makes these big catches and we all get in love with him, and then he disappears for a while. So I'm not worried about what role Rashard Higgins has. If he plays, he plays, but he's got to show on a consistent basis that he actually can produce for the team because I think he has 5 catches and 2 touchdowns, which is a good productive in terms of touchdowns, but in terms of overall, he needs to show more consistency before we give him a bigger chance.
Yeah. And not to be negative on Baker again, but after he threw that second interception, I saw some stat. 19 passes, his last 19 pass attempts at that time, 4 interceptions. So obviously that dates back to last week during the win against the Colts. But I wonder what changed because he was playing really well. Like he had the bet against the Colts last week. That was like his best half of football in his career, and then something changed.
Yeah, so that's what is trending me towards that. He's kind of is really hurt. His ribs are hurting him more than he's leading on, and I think it was in the fourth quarter there that he got injured. So hopefully he can get healthy and turn this around. But yeah, he's got some questions going into next week and see how he responds.
The matchup against the fighting Joe Burrows again.
Yeah, they collapsed again as we were talking about before the podcast. So they collapsed. They were up 21-0, and they lost the game somehow. So they are their team that the Browns should beat and to get back on the winning side. But yeah, this is a win next week that they need to take.
For sure. And I'm just looking at the stats. Austin Hooper led the receivers with 52 yards receiving.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, the stat sheet is just not pretty for the Browns. What the crazy thing is the Steelers really didn't have that much production on offense, but they were just given so much short fields. The defense just allowed them to have so much good positions to succeed in, and they took advantage. So that was the difference in the game. But the story of the game is just the Steelers' defense it's the best defense in the league, and that unit's going to take them places.
Yeah, I know when they traded a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick last year, I gave my buddy that's a Steelers fan a hard time. He's like, no, now we have the best defense in the league. And I was like, no, you switched a first-round pick on a safety. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, that defense is pretty freaking good.
Yeah, really good. They were just, and then like throughout the game, they were just hitting them so hard, and hard hits throughout the game. They were just flying around, and they were just putting so much pressure on the backfield, and the Browns just couldn't handle it.
Yep. All right. So as Browns fans, we love playing the schedule game, right? So we're going to go back to the schedule game quick, just to talk a little bit of positivity on such a day for a Browns fan. So the next 4 weeks, well, we have the Bengals, Raiders, bye week, Texans, Eagles. Oh, and the fifth game after that is Jacksonville.
Yeah,
those are 5 winnable games. And if the Browns want to be a playoff team, I'd say they have to go 4-1.
Yeah. Because there's an extra team now in the playoffs, it's a lot easier, obviously, to make the playoffs. But yeah, this is a stretch that they have to take advantage of because late in the season they'll have Pittsburgh and Baltimore again, so tough matchups there. And I think the Titans coming up too towards the end. So this is a stretch where they need to take advantage. Because as they've shown this year, which is a good thing, they have been taking advantage of the schedule. They took advantage of the last 3 games or last 4 games, winning the games versus teams that are not as good. So that's a good sign, good progress there. But yeah, they got to take advantage to run up the score here and then see how they fare with the division rivals at the end of the year.
Yeah, after that 5-game stretch, it's the Titans, Ravens, and then the 2 New York teams, and then Pittsburgh.
Right.
So it's like that 5-game easy stretch, and then a 5-game stretch with 3 tough games and 2 very winnable games. So yeah, I mean, if they want to be a playoff team, I'd say 4-1. Then probably because that puts them at 8-3 going into those tough 5 games to end the season.
Yeah.
So
9-7 and will likely make you the playoffs, given the extra team, but getting a 10th win would be the key. But can't look too far down the line on that coming off this loss, because
I'm just trying to get this loss out of our heads.
I know. Yeah, I know we do, but take it as the Browns have modeled this year. Take it 1 week at a time, and hopefully we can rebound off for today, just like we did week 1. But they have some work to do.
Yes, a lot of work. But yeah, that's it for me. I don't really know. I guess we just look out at Cincinnati again, just like we did week 1.
On to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick said.
Yep. So yeah, don't forget to throw this tape away before next Sunday. Throw it away, hide it, something.
Yeah, the offensive
just like
line
you did that Baltimore tape.
Yep.
Just forget about it. It never happened.
Yep.
But yeah,
if they win the next few games, we'll do exactly what we did after week 1. We'll forget about it and never talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't even know what happened week 1. I don't know why I keep saying week 1. I don't even know what happened.
I know it just started week 2, right?
All right, guys. Sorry for a little bit shorter one today, but when the Browns get blown out like that, it's tough to talk Browns and be positive about it. And I know you guys don't just want to hear like a sad Browns podcast.
Yeah. Hey, you got to take the medicine and move on to next week.
Absolutely. All right. I'm Joe. I'm Josh. Wow, what a day. I'm Josh. He's Joe. And on to the Bengals. Hopefully the Browns can win it next week. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yep. See ya.